My name is Adili, and voting is really important because if you want to see change in this world, you have to vote. And if you don't want Donald Trump to become president, I suggest you go out to the polls.
Voting is extremely important because it's your voice in the decision-making process. Voting in local elections is particularly important because most of the decisions that affect your quality of life are made at the local level. For example, a newly elected board of directors in a county agency fired the man who was in charge of the air quality management district for the county of Los Angeles. I cannot tell you, young people, how bad the air was when I was a child in Los Angeles and how much better it is now. And the quality of the air that I breathe every day is because of the work of the Air Quality Management District, and the head of that agency was fired by an elected group of representatives. The person who ran that agency was fired because he was too strict and didn't let enough pollution into the air. That makes me angry, and the way I can express that anger is to vote out the people that made that decision.
Voting is important because it's a part of our democracy. It is our job as citizens to place our vote and to participate in government. If we don't vote, then our voice isn't heard, and then we can't complain. It's just we don't have a say.
So voting is important because democracy is not for spectators and requires participation. And especially in the case of young people, if you do not vote, you are essentially surrendering your future to people that may or may not have your best interests at heart. Local elections are particularly important, and I know people get very excited about the larger elections, national elections, presidential elections, etc. But I would argue that it is local elections that probably can have a greater impact on the world you live in directly, the city you live in, etc.
We are really lucky to live in a place where voting is a right, so we should use this to our advantage and let our voice be heard.
So voting is important because it is what gives a democracy legitimacy, right? The Declaration of Independence calls for a government which gets its consent from the governed. How do the governed give their consent? Well, they give it through voting, either through re-electing people who are already in office or throwing them out and putting in a new set of people. And when we vote people into office, or in California we vote for specific laws or we vote against laws, we're giving our consent to the people who govern over us, and therefore it gives our government legitimacy.
I think voting is extremely important, especially for the youth who have become frustrated with our government. This is like really the one way to have our voices be heard and to really implement change in our community and hopefully impact for the better.
So why is voting important? Okay, well, obviously in our democracy, it's very important for people to go out and vote to make sure their voices are heard, but also to make sure that the issues that they care about are addressed. If you don't vote and you're not part of the process, it's difficult then to complain about what's being done or not being done. But it's also important to educate oneself about voting options, because people, if they're ignorant and they don't know about candidates and they don't know about the issues, they become a lot more susceptible to misleading advertisements or misinformation. So it's not only being important to go out and vote and have your voice be heard, but also to educate oneself about who the candidates are. And become part of the process too, to push to make sure that the candidates themselves are addressing issues that you care about. So if young people get out and vote and are out voting in large numbers, then issues that they care about, whether it's the cost of college or issues related to youthful concerns, will be more addressed by politicians. If young people don't go out and vote, there's less of a need for those politicians to address those issues that young people care about.
Voting is extremely important in all elections, but especially in local elections, because your town and your community is what you represent, and if you don't vote, then you don't have a say in what you do.
Voting in local government elections is incredibly important because it's the easiest way to make a big impact on your community because it's very direct and very responsive.
As far as why voting in local elections is important, those decisions have the most direct impact on us. When we vote for school board, those people are making decisions that are going to affect our children's education. It's also going to affect the education of the people that live around us and the people that we live with us. In city ordinances, where stop signs go up, what speed limits are, what curfew laws are, these are things that impact us every day. So it is really important that we get out and we vote for the local elections just like we do for the president every 4 years.
Voting in local government elections is extremely important because your local government is, the community that you're surrounded by most of the time. It's the community that affects not only you but a lot of the people who you care about, and it's, I think, the most effective in terms of creating change and really getting your voice out there.
Alright, so yeah, it is very important to go out and vote in local elections. Voting turnout for local election tends to be often very poor unless it happens to be connected with a larger election like a presidential election. So usually the margin of victory is pretty small and just one vote or a few votes can make the difference. Also, again, the issues that you're voting on and the people that you're voting for will have a more direct role in the lives that you have, whether it's issues related to school or issues related to your town that you live in. Obviously, it's very important to, again, kind of make sure you educate yourself on who the candidates are and what the issues are, since you don't tend to see it in the national media, but also having an impact on that and also getting your voice heard will also get those issues that you care about addressed.